A startup goes through peaks and troughs all the time. It's a roller coaster of ups and downs and highs and lows. You know, at the peaks, it's very easy to feel motivated and inspired by what the company is building. The challenge is to maintain that motivation in the troughs, and that's always difficult.
In order to get past the misunderstandings which inevitably arise in a corporate setting, in any kind of setting, but especially when the pressures are high to deliver, then we need to really understand where people are coming from.
People are the foundation, and you can have growth objectives and productivity objectives and efficiency measures and sharing of best practices, but they don't mean anything if you've got cracks in the foundation, and at the end of the day, the people are the foundation.
In any organization, we all become very invested in the success of an organization, and we're driven to see that success, and we often do it from our own point of view.
So my team in particular, because we're located in so many different countries, we communicate mostly over email and over video chat. And so it's so easy to misunderstand each other because you don't have the personal relationships that you've built, you don't have the body language to read off of.
For a long time for me, it was, I think this way, why don't other people think that way? In our corporate setting, it's always like, why is this important to me? How can I push myself? And it's a very a narrow-focused approach.
When we titled our workshop, Getting Past the Walls, the idea of getting past the walls is when somebody is fully valued, they are ready to give more than 100% to the organization or to the team.
It's really important for me as a CEO to connect with individuals on a one-on-one basis to find what is going to motivate them.
Yeah, what we don't want to do is try to fit a round peg into a square hole, which is sort of the default setting that if we're an organization, we need to be organized, things need to be streamlined, and it's a lot of work to try to understand where people are coming from, and especially if we're not equipped with the tools.
And if you want to be a leader within any organization, self-awareness is probably the most important thing.
So one of the fundamental things that we believe that sets a healthy organization apart from an average organization is the level of trust in a team, in an organization. And we believe that this workshop hits at the root of building that trust between team members when we begin to understand the intrinsic language through which people interpret and communicate in this world. So if you know what the intrinsic language is, you can communicate in a way that only builds trust.
The course has allowed me to recognize how other people approach it and not become so invested in the most efficient way to have something done from my point of view. I think it allows me to appreciate how other people come at things from their own personality type without necessarily becoming defensive or taking offense.
In many organizations, Myers-Briggs has become a tool that is extremely helpful in terms of isolating behavioral patterns in employees. We utilize the Enneagram because we found that it goes one level deeper than Myers-Briggs. Whereas Myers-Briggs can determine the external behavioral patterns, the Enneagram can target where those behaviors are coming from and why they arise in the first place. And so very simply, the Enneagram allows us to motivate people by understanding what it is that is their motivation.
The format that we had at Etsy was unique because it was a much more condensed version of the typical workshop. And it was amazing that some of the case studies that were presented, even without having talked about specific people, just resonated so closely with specific individuals or specific situations in the company, in the last year.
This course allows you to look in a different light at the people around you that you think you knew, but you have no idea.
When we put on these workshops, a major component is that we put together these case studies of situations that could potentially arise in the workplace that leaves people maybe scratching their heads for what to do. And we put people together in teams, and they have to decipher it, and they have to figure out what's going to be their action plan.
Bringing in a course like this is not the norm, and it's not the everyday, and it's not typical. And the fact that our survey results show that over 80% agreed that others in this corporation would benefit from the course, to me is outstanding. I was hoping it would be 50%, but the fact that they were so engaged, and Hari Prasad and Rasnath are such engaging speakers. They're fun, you have a good time, and we were laughing.
To me, it impacts my relationships with my co-founders, my marriage with my wife, my relationships with all the people that I interact with.
And who doesn't want to come into a dynamic, fun environment where they can be themselves with other people who feel very comfortable and confident in being themselves?
I think the workshop really helped transform me and helps transform others to have an inner respect for where other people are coming from.
The most amazing thing for me was to see people have that moment of recognition when they were like, oh, I understand a little bit better what motivates me, but even more importantly, I understand why this other person that I work with reacts the way they do.
It's been an incredible example of a little bit of love, a little bit of light injected into a corporate setting, and I think it's life-changing.
The one repeated verbal feedback that we get from individuals during and even after the workshop is they come and tell us, wow, I thought I was the only person who felt that way. I thought I was the only person who felt that way. And it's such a relief to know that I'm not odd, that I'm not awkward, that it's natural to who I am, and that I have strengths along with it. And it's such a sense of relief, it's such a sense of freedom to just understand that about yourself, because then you don't have to be guarded. You can just be your authentic self, bring your whole authentic self to work, and that's when you can give your best. So that's one consistent feedback that we have gotten in each and every place that we have done this workshop. You just see these big smiles on people's faces when they come and say, gosh, I'm so happy I'm not the only person who feels that way.